Tonight, the IIO has released its report into the death of a man in Mackenzie in June 2024. Plus, police officers arrested known offenders utilizing a spike belt after initially fleeing from officers. And several local boxers took home some hardware at a recent competition. Good evening and welcome to CKPG News. I'm Adam Burles. The Independent Investigations Office has released its report into the death of a man in Mackenzie in June while being arrested by members of the RCMP. Sam Benison has more on the details.
On June 1st, 2024, a subject was arrested at a bank in Mackenzie after allegedly attempting to complete a fraudulent transaction. He was escorted to a waiting police vehicle, but then fled on foot. After a short chase, an officer tackled the subject and a struggle ensued.
There were actually two civilian witnesses who were engaged in this altercation as well. This struggle was video recorded by another civilian witness, and ultimately and tragically, the affected person drew a firearm aimed at the direction of that RCMP officer, and in response, the RCMP officer drew his own pistol and fired at the affected person, who was fatally wounded.
Forensic examinations showed that the gun found at the scene was a 3D printed plastic 9mm firearm that was fully functional and loaded. The IIO investigates all officer-related incidents that result in serious harm or death, whether or not there is any allegations of wrongdoing.
The Independent Investigations Office has the mandate to investigate any incident in which an individual has suffered a fatality or serious harm, and where that death or serious harm is connected to something police did or didn't do. So in BC, this includes all municipal police agencies as well as the RCMP who are in British Columbia. So we have a team of investigators who will deploy to the scene of an incident, such as this one in Mackenzie, and will conduct a full criminal-style investigation where they will interview all relevant witnesses, including police officers.
The report states that the investigation found no reasonable grounds to believe that an officer may have committed a crime.
In most cases, release a public report like this one, unless we find that one of the officers committed a criminal offense, at which point we then do a charge referral to Crown Counsel. In this case, we did not find there were grounds that a criminal offense had been committed by any of the officers, and hence we have the public report.
Sam Benison, CKPG News.
Prince George RCMP arrested two known offenders on January 20th in the Heart. Just before 11 a.m., police noticed a pickup truck committing several motor vehicle infractions on the Heart Highway near Hufftailing Road. The truck fled from police but was later found. From there, police used a spike belt and then the truck crashed into a snowbank.
The driver and passenger were both arrested for numerous offenses and are known to police. When police officers searched the vehicle and the occupants, they located suspected fentanyl, a loaded firearm, and drug paraphernalia, all of which was seized for further laboratory testing.
The frequency of high-speed getaways in January is certainly more than usual, as two other chase situations happened on January 18th. But Corporal Cooper says this has not led to a significant increase in danger as police approach these situations to minimize risk for anyone else on the road. In this case, police initially did not pursue the driver, but instead began patrolling the area to find the car later, as this help keeps the public safe.
The driver who's being pursued, who's fleeing police, will often try to evade police by crossing into oncoming traffic, making dangerous or illegal maneuvers. So the risk to the public has to be outweighed by the risk of letting that person continue on.
Tourism Prince George was one of many who presented to City Council during budget deliberations last week. With a new home and new plans for its new location, the new organization is expecting a banner year. Cheryl Jan reports.
The new Visitor Information Center adjacent to the Conference and Civic Center is in move-in stage, gearing up for the busy tourism season. But even with an abbreviated summer season last year, with operations handled from a CCAN and Games Plaza, they saw a 15% increase in visitation over the summer before.
And that was also in 13% less hours. So, just that increase of seeing those people, that was great to see. Obviously the key here in this location now inside is tied to the Conference and Civic Center, and really making sure this space is welcoming to the delegates that are here for conferences and encouraging them to come over and hopefully increasing that number of interactions as well.
In fact, Tourism Prince George's total projected revenue has increased by 3%, largely as a result of increased retail-related revenue. Another source of revenue for tourism is something called the MRDT, or hotel tax. That's a percentage of every hotel stay. It's about $1.7 million annually. Recent legislation around short-term rentals has impacted the tourism industry in many BC locations, but here, not so much.
We rely a lot less on that for the traditional tourist. There was about 300 listings before the legislation came into place last May. That decreased a little bit, not significantly. We'll see if these new rules and kind of new regulations and enforcement have more of an impact on decreasing that number. If it does, we're hopeful that those people that were staying in the Airbnbs will still come to Prince George.
And its latest campaign,
I think that slowing down is necessary at times. We've been living in a world where peak performance is always pushed.
Meet Kimberly Kenyon. She has a penchant for paddleboarding in the winter. She is also the focus of tourism's newest video promoting unique individuals doing unique individual things around here.
Definitely a new marketing campaign for us, and definitely sticking with that theme of highlighting these local people in Prince George that are doing kind of unique and amazing things in the world of tourism, and hopefully kind of put tourism in a different light and put Prince George in a different light to these people and attract a different kind of visitor. So, really excited about our last winter paddling video featuring Kimberly and highlighting, an activity that I didn't even know existed.
Colin Carson says 2023 was a banner year for hotel stays, with conferences returning and sporting events returning in what he called post-COVID revenge travel. Last year, a little quieter.
What we're doing, obviously, is a lot of these fun campaigns highlighting different things to do in Prince George, really trying to attract those visitors and kind of balancing that act between, I'd say, being that big hub, that big city for the regional travelers that are coming here for the weekend, but also being that international destination where people can escape into the wilderness.
He says tourism is launching some summer campaigns in the not too distant future and, quote unquote, stay tuned. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
An air quality advisory is currently in effect for Prince George. The Ministry of Environment and Parks, in collaboration with the Northern Health Authority, has issued an air quality advisory for Prince George due to high concentrations of fine particulate matter that are expected to persist until weather conditions change. The current air quality rating is sitting at a 4, which is a moderate risk to our health, but is forecast to go up to a 6 overnight. Persons with chronic underlying medical conditions or acute infections should postpone or reduce strenuous exercise until the advisory is lifted. The BC Prosecution Service has approved charge for a shooting that took place in Dawson Creek on January 19th. Nolan Douglas Schmidt has been charged with second-degree murder after a man was found dead on 102nd Avenue. The second individual that police located at a nearby hotel is still in hospital recovering from non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators report that the attack was not random and those involved know each other. Former Justice Minister Jody Wilson-Raybould says her father, famed hereditary chief and pioneering Indigenous lawyer Bill Wilson, has died at the age of 80. Through social media, Wilson-Raybould says her father's life was one of leadership and striving to make change. Wilson was a champion for Indigenous title and rights and was crucial to the creation of the BC Assembly of First Nations organization. He was also involved with Indigenous rights groups and helped get Indigenous title to land and treaty rights enshrined in the Constitution.
Well, certainly saddened, mourn the loss of one of the great leaders from the 70s and 80s, especially in regards to the constitutional discussions that were had with Canada and the recognition of First Nations rights, title, and interests, which were made amendments to the Constitution with the recognition of Section 35 rights. So certainly saddened, and also recognize, all his political achievements and also his own profession as a lawyer, the second graduate from UBC Law as a First Nations person.
I have 2 children in Vancouver Island, Both of them, Mr. Prime Minister, are women.
Bill Wilson didn't hold back any punches and told it like it was. And, I think it was his demeanor and his stance on recognition of First Nations rights was paramount to not only for himself as an individual and his nation, but also for First Nations across this country. So we have much to thank for everything that he was fighting for, because really, I think, what Bill did, he set the stage for many First Nations who are currently continue to fight, including myself. He's definitely set the foundation for many of the current recognition that we're seeking right now.
The ongoing political turmoil between the Mayor of Kamloops and City Council is costing taxpayers dearly. The city's legal fees are skyrocketing as lawyers handle a slew of code of conduct complaints, many of them directed at Mayor Reed Jackson, who was first elected 2 years ago and quickly made a name for himself as a controversial politician. Michael Reeve of CFJC News has the latest.
Budget is $500,000. Okay. Last year we spent $1.6 million. There is a shortfall.
With that in mind, city staff are requesting an increase of $800,000 for budgeted legal fees.
Whether it's a code of conduct complaint or it's a court filing to quash the AAP, we have to have the availability and the funds to be able to address and respond without putting the corporation at risk or in debt.
All those opposed? Council voted 6-3, approving $300,000 instead, with councillors Dale Bass and Nancy Beppel opposed, wanting the full amount, and Reed Jackson wanting no increase at all, taking issue with code of conduct complaints against himself.
I'm just wondering why we're hiring these high-priced lawyers at $60,000 a crack. They become dismissed or frivolous and using excuses like they assume somebody's going to retaliate or something like that. This is mostly by counselors and specific counselors, and it's a complete waste of money.
It was highlighted that the code of conduct complaints make up less than $200,000 of that $1.6 million price tag.
This is being driven by inquiries from the public and outside of our four walls. I'm excluding your code of conducts. This is members of the public challenging FOIs, asking for additional information, and putting us in court.
The increase is a one-time addition to the budget, with Councillor Mike O'Reilly confident it won't be a lasting issue.
I don't see this type of increase staying over 2 years from now, straight up. And so by splitting the difference and looking at reserves as we need to take out, but this isn't something that will be in perpetuity after 2070.
The recommendations made by Council during Tuesday's Committee of the Whole still need to be approved during a future regular meeting to become official. Michael Reeves, CFJC News.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is $1.54.9 per litre at Costco. This also happens to be the lowest price in the province right now. Alberta currently has the lowest gas prices in the country on average at $1.45.9 per litre. Meanwhile, BC has an average price of $1.72.1 per litre.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
It was a split weekend for the Prince George Cougars at the CN Centre, as both the Brandon Wheat Kings and Kamloops Blazers were in town to face the Cats. And the Cougars rolled a 3-goal third period en route to a 3-2 win over the Wheat Kings on Friday night. The Cats got back into the win column after 4 consecutive losses on the road that saw them fall out of the top spot in the BC division. However, it was a different Cougars team that showed up to play on Saturday night, as the Cats gave up 4 unanswered goals in the second period, as the Kamloops Blazers came away with a 5-2 win on Saturday night to wrap up the Cougars' Indigenous weekend. Next up for the Cougars is tomorrow night, January 28th, a game against the Swift Current Broncos. Young Prince George boxers impressed in their most recent tournament as they dominated their matches en route to easy victories in Medicine Hat. As Tommy Osborne reports, it's the start of what they hope will become long, successful careers.
The Inner City boxing team had a fantastic showing at the Alberta Silver Gloves Championship in Medicine Hat, as 12-year-old Audrey Edmonds and 16-year-old Thunder Innes won by unanimous decision.
It was going really good. I definitely stood out in the first 2 rounds, and in the third round, my opponent came out strong in the third round.
His opponent rushed him right away. Got him on the ropes and was throwing. Thunder, he took the barrage, absorbed some punches, and then he centered himself into the ring, and you saw the bounce happen about 30 seconds in, and from there Thunder started cooking.
Innes wants to be the best fighter in the world, as he fights for much more than just himself. His father passed away when he was 12, and Innes says he found boxing shortly after as a way to honor his memory.
Every time before a fight, before I'm getting ready, I pray for like around 10 minutes. I pray to my father that he'll be with me in the ring and he'll guide me.
Having Lakota and Ojibwe heritage, Innes adds he also fights for his heritage and culture.
My people, we've suffered. We've suffered quite a lot, and people don't know that we've suffered, right? They don't know about us. There's people that don't even know we exist, right? But, as indigenous people, we're still here, and I'm here to drive my people in a new light, and that's what I want to do.
Lolly believes Innes has what it takes, saying he has both the drive and talent to excel.
He can do stuff in there that open fighters, like fighters over 10 fights, are doing. That was Thunder's only 3rd fight.
Lolly adds both Innes and Edmonds could be on track for the international stage, as both fighters showcase mental toughness beyond their years and put the work in at the gym.
The future looks bright, and Jag and I were taught by one of the best coaches ever to come out of Canada, Bob Pegues, and then take that with Jag and I's 126, 136 fights on the international stage. We are bringing something different to this game, and hopefully we'll bring back more Canadian champions and Olympians.
Innes now has a perfect 3-0 record, while this was Edmonds' first fight against someone her age and weight class, moving her to 1-0. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
The TSX is down 179 points to close at 25,289. The Dow Jones is up 289 points to close at 44,713. And Canfor is down 11 cents to close at $15.32.
Good evening again. We have lots of nice weather to enjoy for at least another day. We'll take you back from earlier today, and some fog in some parts of the region. Certainly, though, not a bad afternoon. So this is the system here that is going to really create lots of instability up towards the north coast for tomorrow. So lots of rain showers expected there, some windy conditions as well. We shouldn't see anything from that coming our way. We are looking at, though, a change later into Wednesday. So our futurecast shows us mainly sunny sky again tomorrow. Don't think that we'll see too much in the way of any moisture. It'll really be Wednesday when we see the next system hitting. So that is going to bring with it snow, and that will likely begin for us throughout the evening hours on Wednesday and carry into Thursday. So it will be a pretty wet next middle of the week, or middle to end of the week, but milder temperatures before we see things change for the cooler. We are going to see these temperatures really cool down as we get into the weekend, but 3 degrees tomorrow. We've got some cloud cover in the mix, but we should still see some sunshine in there as well. Up in the Peace, 3 degrees, mainly cloudy skies. It was windy there today. Things will be a little calmer tomorrow. Southern half of the province, still lots of sunshine for another day or so, but again, later into the week is when things will change for everybody there. But the north coast, 6 degrees, Prince Rupert, you are looking at lots of rain showers for the afternoon tomorrow. Quesnel, McBride, nice and sunny and milder. McBride looking at 5. Vanderhoof as well, sitting at +5, +1 in Fort St. James, and lots of sunshine there. So the western half of the country looks pretty good for the most part. We've got lots of sunshine again tomorrow. 4 in Edmonton, that's not a bad temperature. +1 in Regina. Sunshine there. It was sunny in Winnipeg today, but not so much tomorrow. We're looking at a change in those conditions coming your way. And then a cooler pattern as we go further east over to the eastern half of the country. Definitely cold. -12 for Montreal for a daytime high for Tuesday, and -4 in Toronto. Even over towards the Maritimes, it's it's quite unsettled and even seeing some rain and snow mix. So mainly cloudy for us as we move into our Wednesday. Again, tomorrow I think we should still see some sunny breaks in there, and then we'll see that increase in cloud just ahead of the system coming our way. So Quesnel, or Burns Lake rather, we'll see that for your afternoon tomorrow. 3 degrees though, bit of snow on Wednesday, and then it clears out again Thursday, back to more snow on Friday. So it is a pretty back and forth weather pattern for you this week. Mackenzie -9, some increase in cloud tonight and tomorrow, -1 for your afternoon. Rain and showers expecting, rain and snow showers rather, expected on Wednesday, and then a break on Thursday before more moisture and a much colder trend coming our way. If you can look at those temperatures for the weekend, things are really going to get cold. -8, partly cloudy skies for Mackenzie, or McBride rather, 5 degrees tomorrow, sun through some higher cloud cover, and the same for Wednesday. Very mild though the next couple of days before we start to see a change. In Quesnel, -9 with partly cloudy skies tonight. You've got some filtered sunshine out there tomorrow through those higher clouds. An increase in cloud on Wednesday, but should start the day nice and sunny. And then there's the change for Thursday, Friday, and especially for the weekend with those cold temperatures. And we're in for the cold weather as well by the Saturday, Sunday, but milder for the next few days. 3 degrees tomorrow. I think we'll still see some sunshine, a little breezy on Wednesday just ahead of that system. Wednesday night, snow beginning.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Feed your team tonight with a delicious mix and match combo. Chicken, pizza, pasta, or dessert for just $8.99 per item.
The UNBC Timberwolves men's and women's basketball teams wrapped up their doubleheader on the road on Saturday in Kamloops. The doubleheader started on Friday at Thompson Rivers University, and the women's team picked up a win on Friday, winning 76-60 over the Wolfpack. It would be a close battle between the men on Friday, but it would be TRU who would come away with the win, 79-65. For UNBC, it was their veteran tandem of Evgeny Baukin and Josh Gillespie who did the heavy lifting all offensively. Gillespie also grabbed a game-leading 11 rebounds to secure the double-double. The Timberwolves were back at the Tournament Capital Center on Saturday. On the women's side, it would be close between UNBC and TRU, but the Timberwolves fell 73-61. Victoria Filatova continued her stellar second season by posting yet another new career-high 26 points of her own. On the men's side, the T-Wolves wrapped up their road doubleheader with a 103-75 setback to the Thompson Rivers Wolfpack. The Timberwolves will now return home in time for a 12 p.m. matinee clash with the University of Fraser Valley Cascades on Friday, January 31st. Tonight, CKP3 showcases the best running plays of the NFL Championship Sunday as the running backs put on a show as they made highlight reel plays and put it all on the line for a chance to get to the Super Bowl.
Saquon Barkley continues to be the difference maker for the Eagles.
Here's Barkley, a little shovel, looking for an edge, gets it, Saquon Barkley, first down, Barkley, oh! Saquon, touchdown!
On his first touch of the game, he showed off what makes him so special. That burst, elusiveness, ability to break tackles, what can't he do? Saquon helped carry the Eagles to the Super Bowl, and they'll need a lot more of that to take down the Chiefs. But he wasn't the only running back to put on a show.
Gonna look at pitching, and he does to Cook! Oh, he reaches across! Touchdown, Buffalo!
James Cook with a ridiculous reach for the go-ahead score. Even though he was hit hard in the air, he's able to extend to just get the ball over the goal line. Even though it was in a losing effort, Cook put in a phenomenal show to try and take down the vaunted Chiefs. But in the end, it wasn't enough to stop Mahomes.
First and goal. Mahomes still has it. To the 5, and in for the touchdown!
After seeing all the phenomenal run plays, Mahomes wanted to try it himself. And if that spike is any indication of his throwing ability, maybe he should stick to running back. In fact, he had 2 rushing touchdowns to just 1 throwing, proving he's a threat no matter what he's doing on the field in tonight's CKP3.
Hello from the CKPG Today side. Got a great one coming up over here, including a little bit about Francophone, un petit peu, as they say in Francais. My French still a work in progress, even going to French immersion for 13 years. But anyways, we have that on the show. We're going to make a little meal with Farmhouse. Plus, we're going to talk about decluttering, because Well, it might be the time of year. You might be cooped up, cabin fever, maybe inspired to organize your house. You might be inspired for sure after this feature. I'll throw it to you on the other side. I know you're not a big fan of chewing. That noise drives you crazy. We learned that last week. But what about clutter? Are you an organized kind of guy?
Too organized, I'm sure some would say. Everything is very organized in my household. I'm not a person that has to declutter every spring because everything just tends to stay organized throughout the year regardless. But I think that's the better way to go instead of having to do it all at once during the spring for spring cleaning, say. Just keep it organized throughout the rest of the year and you're golden. Turning to our final story this evening, after a fresh coat of paint, the PG Humane Society's shelter on Lansdowne Road is welcoming pet lovers through their doors. On this week's Forever Friends, we highlight a litter of German Shepherd puppy lab mixes.
The Prince George Humane Society's location on Lansdowne Road is being terrorized by a litter of 8 puppies, which is why they are hoping you will adopt one.
These guys came from a shelter outside of Prince George, Fort St. James, and they had a mom and 8 puppies, so we've got the mom as well. She's about 1.5 years old. She's very sweet, but they just couldn't take care of her. There was just too many. Obviously, you can see there's 8 puppies, and it's a lot for one home to manage because they just foster out of the one home.
The mom of the litter is named Sasha, and Jamie says that judging by her demeanor, these pups will grow up to be great dogs.
Well, they're very well-mannered puppies. They're young, so they're very trainable. The mom had a very good, very sweet, gentle demeanor. And yeah, they'd make a really great addition to any home. They won't be a very large breed. Mom is only about 60 pounds, so she's about a medium-sized breed.
And they have been weaned, providing the mom some much-needed R&R.
The puppies are 7 weeks old now, and I think mom was just a little bit overwhelmed with caring for the 8 puppies altogether. They're old enough to be on their own. They're eating their own food and terrorizing each other in my shoes, and they're doing really well. So
the canines are roughly 7 weeks old and almost ready to find a new family.
They're available for adoption next week. We just wanted to keep them together a little bit longer to learn some puppy behaviors between each other and socialize with each other. And they'll be available for adoption next week, and you can head online and fill out a puppy adoption application.
Sam Benison, CKPG News.
Time for a final look at your extended forecast before we wrap up our show. It's going to be quite mild the next few days, but expect a dip in temperatures, a major dip in temperatures come Friday, Saturday. So for tonight, we're expecting pretty mild temperatures for this time of year, -7, 3 tomorrow for a high. Looks like it's going to be pretty cloudy, so some of that sunshine that we saw today isn't going to be as prevalent until we get into the weekend. But on the other side of that coin is that it's going to get cold. -17 for a high on Saturday, -18 as a high on Sunday, -27, probably getting into the -30s with the wind chill come Saturday, Sunday. And we're expecting a system with bringing precipitation with it Thursday and Friday. Going to snow probably quite a bit on Friday. We're expecting somewhere in the wheelhouse of 3 to 6 centimeters, and then it's going to cool down -20 on Friday night, transitioning into that Arctic air that's coming in from the north. On Saturday, Sunday, and probably into our Monday. You can't see it on the graphic, but it's going to be cold come our weekend, so enjoy that warmer, milder temperatures while we have them. That's all the time we have tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight, your last look is Canada Games Plaza. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.